Hadley Nightingale, mate. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I'm super excited today. It's going to be a bit of a different twist than usual, a bit of a Kiwi twist. Well, actually, how long? Because you were over here at one point, and then you went back to New Zealand, right?
Yeah, so I moved to Aussie when I was 19, 20. Um, and so yeah, did a bit of farming, went and worked in the wheat belt for a while, and then went and drove some road trains up and down the northwest, and then went mining. We were working for a company that was working for Rio Tinto up in Tom Price. And then I sort of looked at things and went, jeepers, you're 30, you're single, you've got a mining job, but do you sort of want to do you want to be like this at 50? And something sort of had to change. So yeah, came back to New Zealand end of 2015, started 2016, which was a bit of a scenery change from the red dirt.
And what did you do when you went back home? Did you go straight into buyer's agency, or did you do a few other things before?
No, so sort of at that time came back, and I'd always been of that. Well, the great thing with mining and the great thing with driving road trains, you've got so much time to. I mean, podcasts weren't quite so big back then, but plenty of time to hammer out the audio books. Listen to a whole range of people. I remember sort of sitting in the car and shifts and crew would jump in and sort of look at me sideways with a bit of Zig Ziglar playing, or Jim Rohn, just to sort of mix things up a bit. Uh, and so there was sort of that part of it, and I went, right, there's got to be more to this than just working a 9 to 5. Um, and then came back to New Zealand with the want to sort of grow a property portfolio, because I brought a farm earlier in the piece, which I got some really rubbish advice on. Didn't quite go to plan, and that's how I ended up in Aussie in the first place, to try and pay for a mortgage pay a mortgage for a property that wasn't great. So I thought, right, I need to find some people that can teach me how to do this, where we can make some money, rather than me having another crack and just sort of hoping for the best. So I was working for a civil contractor over here, sort of stayed in the same industry for a bit. So working in the building forestry roads and stuff like that, while did the mentoring side of things. And then it wasn't until sort of that was finished, that the sort of buyer's agency side of it started to sort of grow in sort of 2017. So it took sort of 2 years to start things and sort of see that there was a gap in the market.
Yeah, cool. That's definitely something I'm super interested in, like the market over there. And I know you're probably one of the only buyers agents that are over there that operates quite well. But yeah, keen to get a bit of that New Zealand twist. And I guess given that the market is different over there, I mean, what would you feel like your sort of personal philosophy on building a portfolio out would be?
I still believe cash flow is king. The cash flow gets you places, it keeps your serviceability going. You're not reliant on a job that, if for some reason you became redundant or something happened, that you've still got those options. That's not coming out of your pocket each and every week. I mean, I talk to some people like, it only cost me $500 a month. $500 is no problem until you haven't got a job, and you watch your savings sort of start to dissipate. So, cash flow is king, but there's got to be a chunk of equity in there to keep yourself going as well. So it's really that's sort of the tightrope of chunks of equity to keep you going, but also the cash flow there for the serviceability, so that you're actually making money at the same time, not throwing it out the window.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing with the market over there. And I guess maybe for the listeners, do you mind giving a little bit of a comparison between like Australia and New Zealand, especially with like, stamp duty and then like some higher rental yields? What do you think the main like separation between the two is?
Yeah, I mean, in the up until sort of last year, there were sort of New Zealand had some really big advantages, as far as I could see, over sort of investing Australia, from sort of a capital gains perspective. We don't have capital gains tax as such. We don't pay stamp duty for any of the properties either. But there's been some changes over the last 12 months with the government that's in at the moment around interest deductibility on interest deductibility is no longer a taxable supply. So if you pay $20,000 a year on interest, like every other business in the country can write that off as an expense. The government, in all its wisdom over here, has decided no, that's profit. And so with a few exceptions. So it's been for us in terms of the shift has more been towards a focus on things like social housing, to make sure that our clients are still eligible for the tax exemptions, and to work with the system rather than against it. So it's in terms of the difference there, it's much the same in terms of income tax, but the big advantage was that CGT and the stamp duty to kick things off. The other sort of downside at the moment is also too, we've just got bigger LVRs than you guys as well. So there has been a bit of a shift, but there's definitely some upside from a yield perspective as well.
Yeah, and I think that would have a big impact on sort of the philosophy in terms of the cash flow side of things as well. And something that we commonly talk about over here is the transaction costs of getting in and out of property, and kind of why that sort of sit and hold investment is probably more considered, because once you're in, it's going to cost you a fortune to get in and out. So you may as well just stay in. Whereas over there, it's a little bit different in terms of the transaction costs. And as you say, keeping the cash flow coming through to allow you to keep going and keep building out the portfolio. So I think you're bang on there. If you had the opportunity to go back to young Mr. Nightingale, what would you go back and tell yourself if you could?
Mate, the thing, well, there's probably two things. Number one, get someone on your side that knows what they're doing. I got into it, the first sort of purchase in that 2007, 2008, and we all know what happened. Won't bang on about that. We all know what happened in 2008. And I think it's probably something for people at the moment, where we've had a rising market, and New Zealand's, we've just had a huge U-turn in the last few months with this, where any fool can make money in a rising market, and people's confidence get blown out of proportion. Like, it's only another 20 grand on top of this purchase, or it's only another 100 grand. Who cares? We're going to make that up next month. But it doesn't take much for a market, or it doesn't take long for a market to shift. And if you buy that house and you overpay the 100 grand for it, and 5 years ago, and we've increased 10% every year, who cares? It's not a big deal because you've made your money back. The issue is that the market over here, we've gone from like 12,000 listings nationwide, which is like a 40-year low by about 6,000 or 7,000 listings in August, to this morning there's 30,600 on the market in the space of 6 months. So we've near on trebled. So as supply goes through the roof, demand goes down, and prices also move with that as well. So there's been people that I've been talking to that said, hey, I had a cash offer, and these aren't going to sound like big numbers in comparison to Sydney or Melbourne or the bigger centres, but like I had a cash offer on a place at 819,000, and this is sort of a vendor saying, hey, like, I had cash for 819, when I really want to get 830, so I'll decline the offer. And the guy's now got the house on the market at 720 and has got no interest in it at all. And it's like a shift over 4 months. And that's sort of how quickly things can change. And I suppose it's the importance with property in general that you've got to make sure you get this right, because it's not like the share market where you go, jeepers, it's let's just put a sell order in so I can reclaim my money back out of it, and we'll see how low it goes. Or I want to buy some more of that, so we'll just put a buy order in and hope for the best. Like you say, it costs you a ton of money to get in and out, and that certainty in knowing what you're doing is is the key with that. So finding people that are going to help you out being number one and point you in the right direction. But probably like everyone that comes on here says to you, mate, I wish I bought some more. I was having a look at a block of units today, and I was talking to a guy we have quite a bit of business with, and the particular street. And I was saying, I remember there was a block of 10 units down that same road that we could have picked up in 2017 for like 750 grand. And at the time, and cheap, like that, they're dreaming 750 for that, and it's on the market now for 1.7. Others that we looked at in 2017 for 290 have just sold for 650. And it's that, it's always that thing, you look back and you go, how easy was it? But at the same time, at the time they didn't work. At the time they weren't what they should have been for us to buy it, or else we would have. And I suppose that's the hindsight side of things as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, everyone would, like, if they could go, like, if you could go back 60 years and buy everything you possibly could, you would, right? But yeah, I suppose there's so many different economic things that come into play, and, like, I don't know, probably wasn't as big as borrowing capacity concerns back then either. But there's so many different things at that point in time that sort of play around. But yeah, I that so frequently. Like, I just wish I bought more when I had the opportunity to. So yeah, no, that sounds good, man. I think you're bang on about having someone in your corner to explain to you the different things that have come about, talking about that period in 2017, 2018, and then relaying that information and making sure that they're well aware that these things can and do and should happen, but they're market cycles, and we just got to ride out the market cycles. I think is super important.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, because the other thing with it too is that you don't lose any money and this is in terms of from a philosophy perspective. This is where the cash flow, from my perspective, becomes so important, is because you don't lose any money in property until you have to sell it, unless it's costing you money each and every week. So that, it's what we sort of say to clients as well, is they're going, look, what if the market drops 10%? Well, the market can drop 10% there, and it's not great, but we're okay because we've got income. If we're paying and the market drops 10%, completely different story, especially if you need to get out for some reason.
Yeah, if you're in that awkward spot where it's costing you money, potentially lost some income personally, and then you had to sell irrationally to make a financial decision, like, that's the biggest wealth killer. And I think, fundamentally, I've always sort of been, on the capital growth side when I was a younger investor, but now I've definitely come around to the notion that, cash flow is important, because if you don't have the cash flow to sustain a large debt and you had to sell in the worst case scenario, then, it's about biggest wealth killer of everything. So you're worse off than buying it from the start. And if you've got the cash flow on your side that's allowing it to at least be self-sustainable, then you can ride those market cycles through the peaks and the troughs.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to go into too much detail, mate, but apart from buying more property, if there was anything that you could change about your personal portfolio, or if there was a mistake along the journey that you made, would you want to share anything with the listeners?
I suppose it comes back to getting the right advice. So, and having the right people in your team. I sort of look back now and think we could have done more. Like we switched mortgage brokers, and all of a sudden there was another 150 grand that was available to us, that the other mortgage broker said, hey, look, there's you guys are stuck, you can't do anything. We had good income, we had good equity. But it's that thing, if the broker tells you can't, the broker tells you you can't, until you go and find someone that tells you you can. So that's probably the other, just to add another philosophy to the whole thing, is that just surrounding yourself with people that can tell you, how you can do things, rather than all the reasons why you can't, because the can't's too easy. So I can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. But the people that can think outside the square and go, hey, provided it's legal, let's get that out there as well, that can tell you how to legally do stuff to keep pushing you along the path, and they're generally the people that you've got to pay some money for. But if you're paying them money, they need to be, they should be making you money at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a critical one. Like it's something that I'm personally going through as well. Like if I've probably switched mortgage brokers 3 times since I started investing, and every time I switch, you get such a for some reason this additional borrowing capacity appears out of nowhere. So, I think being able to sort of go back and get a second or third opinion and just make sure that what they're telling you is right, because sometimes if you've got a couple of mortgages locked down and they're churning away and, it's easier not to refinance them, they'll just give you that advice to, oh, there's nothing you can do. Whereas if you get someone who's hungry and wants your business and is motivated to make things happen, then, as you say, that they should be making money for you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like and that was as simple as it was for us. Was that we had we got told we couldn't do anything, and the basically what we had to do was just get 2 properties revalued, top them up, and then go back to a main bank lender. We would have dropped our interest rate 1.5% and had another 150k available, and at the time was 20% loan to value ratios. So we could have gone and bought another a $400,000 or $500,000 house to add to that portfolio, and would have been another house ahead. But like I say, you can only act off the advice you get at the time.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think it's really good to ask around and have those advisors on your side. Now, mate, interesting timing there. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you started investing in 2017 and then started the buyer's agents thing in 2017. Was it a bit of was it like starting at the same sort of time, or did the buyer's agency come first and then you started investing, or how did that look? And then what was the main thing that sort of triggered you to go from becoming an investor to sort of wanting to pursue a business and a career in it?
Yeah, so there's probably a couple of things there. So you started investing the end of 2016, and it was something that the first purchase I made, and I seem to be a bit of a broken record on it around the right advice, but it was something that I saw, coming back into the market again for the second time, is that we'd paid some money, we got some education, we had an idea about what we were looking to do, we had a bit of a blueprint and a system for what we should be doing, but when you go back into the market with a little bit of knowledge and you overhear people that are talking to real estate agents who are fantastic at their job and are there for the best price for their vendor, and you just go, jeepers, these guys have got no idea. Like, their uncle Jimmy at the barbecue said, oh, go and buy a house because I did, and you're always going to make money and it's always going to be a good investment, and go and do it. And they tramped around the open homes, and Uncle Jimmy said it's a good idea, so I'm going to go and do it. And then this happened to me maybe 3-4 months ago now, where I was standing outside an open home, and a guy walked up to me on the street, and he didn't know what I did, and he goes, oh, what do you reckon the house is worth, mate? And I said, oh, don't know, not really too sure, because I reckon it's about worth 950. And I went, oh, okay. How'd you come to that? Oh, yeah, have to be 950. I mean, just look at it. It's a $950,000 house. And I went, isn't that interesting? You've got no basis to base. You haven't said, oh, well, number 6 down the road sold for this, and number 10 up the other end sold for that, and the agent reckoned 980 to $1 million, but I reckon I can get it for 950. The house is probably only worth sort of mid-8s, and a particular agent that had it as a gun, and so I was going, you've just been sold up the river. But it's this is what I was seeing back at the start of this in 2016, 2017, going, there's some people buying some absolute rubbish that at the time for the prices were paying, in the scheme of things, too much. And that just had sort of no idea what the process was or how it was going. And then the other side of that too is that we were getting, a number of really good deals. I was going, I haven't got the money to do this, myself. So let's see if we can monetize this, sort of as we go. So it was like a 2-year transition into doing a little bit of that while keeping a full-time job. And then yeah, we've sort of from sort of 2018 on, well, yeah, sort of mid 2017, 2018 onwards, we got more and more full time into it, and then started up my own agency in August of last year, or July, August of sorry, not last year, year before. Get my years mixed up.
Nah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a bit of a journey. And how did you, out of curiosity, how do you find the buyer's agency side over there? I mean, over here, it's starting to become a little bit more common, like nothing can compare to America where 40 or 45% of transactions are done through a buyer's agency. But what's the environment like over in New Zealand?
So you get a mixed review. So we've probably been around long enough now that there's some agencies that know who we are. When I first started, it was a case of, oh look, we don't do conjunctionals. Going, well, look, I don't want any of your commission. You keep yours, and I'll keep mine. And we'll work together to get the transaction done. And it took a long time for sort of agents and agencies to understand it. And then also with that, there's sort of myself and maybe 2 or 3 others in the country that solely do buyers agency. There's other companies that dabble in it, so they'll sell some property, they'll buy some property, but there's only sort of 2 or 3 of us that are specific to, we only buy property for people, we don't do anything else. And so that's taken a bit of time for people to get their head around. And the most sort of common question is, well, how do you do that? Do you even make any money? And so it's like, well, yeah, we've got clients, we transact on property, of course, you're just like saying, do you sell any houses? Do you make any money? But it's that mindset shift. And like I say, August last year, everyone was like, oh, look, we don't need you. Now the phone's starting to ring saying, oh, hey, I've had this property. We've got this property that's coming to market the next couple of weeks. It's X, Y, and Z. It's a bit similar to the one that you guys bought last week. Do you have anyone? Because we sort of need to get this one shifted. And it's amazing the change in the last sort of 6 months. So I've been looking forward to a slowdown, just so that we've got more options for ourselves and our clients. And it's good that there's some negotiation that's come back into this, rather than, the price is $800,000. If you don't like it, someone will pay $850 for it, so don't worry about it. That's that paradigm. There's been a bit of a paradigm shift with that, which has been great.
Yeah, it's really good. I love acquiring in this market. Even the difference with the real estate agents, like, but as you said, back August last year, they wouldn't even call you back or call you after an open home or anything else like that. If you're interested, you'll be calling them and placing offers. Where I inspected something like 3 days ago, and I've had 4 calls from the agent and emails and rental appraisals and like everything under the sun you can possibly get. So yeah, it's definitely a paradigm shift at the moment, that's for sure. Now, mate, there's 101 of them out there, but if you had sort of one property, one liner that you're sort of stuck by, what would it be?
And I think it's the old adage of the best time to buy real estate was 10 years ago, and the second best times today. And I think that's just something that people have got to keep in mind when they're looking to buy. It might be the first one that you're buying that's a scary step. Make sure your ducks are in a row, and that things are right. But the best time to get into the market is now.
Yeah, I think that's a great one, and sort of sticks to that whole philosophy of I wish I bought more properties, or if we could go back 60 years ago and acquire everything we could. But mate, it's been an absolute cracker. Thanks for coming on and sharing some of your knowledge and wisdom, especially in a different market. I think there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time too, it's good to have a bit of a different take and twist on things. And hopefully some investors are even maybe considering looking at buying over in New Zealand now, just with some different take on things. So thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no, really appreciate it. Good time. And yeah, I mean, great place to come over for a holiday, especially in the winter with the skiing in the South Island, and then the beaches up north in the summer. So good options all around.
Yeah, I'll be heading over there myself in the next month or so, that's for sure. But mate, it's always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, mate. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time.